for Sussex County School Boards. And I believe Mattia cannot be with us or is not here yet. So I'm going to open our meeting. The Monday, October 17, 2022 meeting of the Sussex County School Boards Association. And if I could I ask you to please stand for a flag? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So I believe first up on our agenda are greetings from the NJSBA officers. 10 minutes from
Can't see without these. Well, good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone who joined us from home. It's always great to be back here in Sussex County, except for when it's so dark and the deers come out, but it's great to see everyone. So I just have a ton of notes on workshop. But before I conclude my remarks on workshop, we have been joined by VP of County Activities, Bruce Young. So he's going to also share some information as well on some of the activities at Workshop 2022. They're going to have a special meeting for county activities. Okay, so Workshop 2022 is a week away, guys. It's a week away. So just a reminder, we have the 100% Club. The 100% Club is exclusive to counties that have all 100% of their school districts that are going to be attending Workshop 2022. Right now, we have 3 counties that have already achieved this goal. Union County, Hudson County, and Somerset County have achieved 100%. They're going to get a special ribbon. They're going to get a special shout out at the officers reception. Sussex County, I checked right before I came, is at 84%. So Ray can give you the information. You guys can make some phone calls to try to get the rest of the school districts to come out to Workshop 2022. You can also view the progress of your county on NJSBA website just by clicking on the banner for Workshop 2022. It's right on the home page. And then also, I finally downloaded the app today. So the app is available for Android users like myself, and then Apple users. So download the app from the Google Store or the App Store and download the app, and you can kind of get yourself started. So the conference agenda, again, is on the website. So if you click on NJSBA tab on agenda at the top of the conference homepage, you'll see all the activities that are going to be there. There's going to be free lunch available on the exhibit floor on Tuesday and Wednesday to the first 1,400 attendees. Now we already have over 5,000 attendees registered. So if you want one of those free lunch tickets, you have to make sure that you get out there as soon as possible because it's first come, first serve. Excited to announce that, there's a couple of new exhibits or lounges that's going to be there. PAA Lounge. That's hosted by New Jersey School Jobs. So that's an organization that helps to staff New Jersey school jobs. The lounge will provide opportunities to connect with the brightest minds in recruiting and talent management and learn how to reach untapped or unleveraged talent pools and retain high performers. Their lounge will be open on Tuesday and Wednesday from 9 to 4. Then what's really important is the student showcases. So we're going to have student innovation showcase on the exhibit floor. That's going to be Tuesday and Wednesday from 9 to 4. The student art gallery. I think that's going to be amazing. So the gallery is going to include artwork recognized by Apple Farm Arts and Music Center Scholastic Arts Awards Gold Key recipients from the South Jersey, New Jersey Division on Civil Rights Youth Bias Art Competition, the Yale School's In-State Disability Art Show, and other prestigious art programs. There's also going to be the Student Film Showcase. And that's gonna be, these films were recognized and featured in the 2022 Garden State Film Festival, one of the most prestigious film festivals in the United States. So the showcase will also include a Q&A with students and the TV film teachers who produced, directed, and edited the films. Then lastly, we have 2022 STEAM Tank Challenge, that's back. Those kids are amazing, okay? They use science, technology, engineering, math, arts, and they come up with the most exciting, just the things that they create. I'm thinking I never created anything like what these kids do. So the Steam Tank Challenge is back. That's going to be exciting. So you're encouraged to stop by the Steam Tank Showcase. And then our keynote speaker this year is John Staff, CEO of Getaway. So John Staff is the founder and CEO of Getaway, a company that provides simple, unplugged escapes to tiny cabins outside of major cities across the United States. Getaway grew from John's lifelong appreciation for the great outdoors, having grown up in a cabin in rural Minnesota. So John will talk about recess and the importance of rest to students, educators, and all who support them. Who support them? The parents. So we also need to rest, to relax, and reset. So stop by. He's going to be on the main stage at the investors main stage on the exhibit hall on Wednesday at 11 a.m. And then we're going to also have our student keynote who will speak on the investors main stage in the exhibit hall on Tuesday the 25th at 11 a.m. Lauren Knopp, a senior at Ocean City High School and the New Jersey State Board of Education student representative. We also have a few trainings in November, on November 4th and November 14th, Governance 2 for Finance, Governance 3, Student Achievement, and Governance 4, Legal Update. But as I mentioned, on one of the days, Vice President Bruce Young and County Activities, do you want to speak about the program that you're going to be hosting?
Well, this year we have
I can't hear you.
so this year we're going to have a new room. It's in room 307. And this is going to be New Jersey School Board's meetup room. On Monday, Special Education Committee will be meeting from 11:30 to 12:30. And you can go in there and have discussions about special education. What are you doing in your districts? They're looking for feedback. Also on the same day, on Monday, the executive officers, myself, Tammy, Vice President Cordolino, and President Irene will be there from 3:30 to 4:30 to answer any of your questions, any thoughts, any ideas, what you're looking for moving forward. What do you want from NJSBA? On Tuesday, the group leaders will be there from 11:30 to 12, and they'll also have some input for you. Now, we were supposed to have the celebrating leadership meeting, which used to be the leadership breakfast. That has now been moved to room 312, and that will be from 1 to 1:45 for our leaders. And then the NJSBA past presidents will be at that room on Tuesday from 2 to 3. On Wednesday, I will be doing the Cal meeting. It's going to start at 9 o'clock in the morning for our county leaders. It should be very interesting. We'll have some great discussion. And I'll be asking you what your thoughts are about convention, good, bad, or indifferent. And I want everybody to be very honest. So we need that input. We need that feedback. So that's it for me. Thanks, Sam.
Thanks, Bruce. And that's it for me. So as I always tell you guys are amazing rock stars. So on behalf of NJSBA and our officers, thank you so much for everything that you do for New Jersey's 1.4 million students. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. Next, we have Marie Billick to update us on the New Jersey School Board's Board of Directors. Marie?
Thank you, Wayne. Good evening, everyone. The Board of Directors met in a hybrid format on September 23rd. I elected to be present at the headquarters for the meeting, and Ron Hoffman was remote. This was Dr. Purnell's first meeting as executive director. And as stated by Vice President Tammy, Workshop 2020 in person back in Atlantic City, registration is strong, and you are all encouraged to attend. The audit fieldwork has been completed, and the audit will be presented to the board at a future meeting date. The Board of Directors nominating committee members representing the 4 regions of the state were elected, and I'm very honored to represent the Northwest region on that committee. I encourage all of you to read the current issue of School Leader, the magazine celebrating its 50th anniversary. And there is a wonderful, very in-depth, interesting article on our new executive director, Dr. Purnell. His vision is shared, his background, his successes. I think the committee had done an excellent job in selecting him as our new leader. The next meeting is November 4th. Any questions or comments from those present here?
We're virtually.
Excuse me?
We're virtually.
And virtual as well. So you monitor the screen. I'll talk to the real.
Rob, so.
We're good?
I don't see anything up there. I don't see the chat room.
All right. Thank you so much. See you all in Atlantic City.
Thank you very much, Marie. So on our agenda, our next presenter, we're actually going to try to delay that until a little bit later, right? If in case she may show up. That's the greetings from Dr. Gail Carrick. So passing over that to updates from the NJ SBA Field Service Representative, Ray Pinney is going to update us in lieu of Kathy Hallowell.
Kathy's stuck in the district right now. She double booked herself. She thought she'd be able to get here, but and she may, but it won't be in time for this update. So tell her it's the best update she ever gave. So a couple things are happening. One, we have a school board election this November. Odds are you're going to have a new board member, or a lot of districts are going to have a new board member. We do have a 3 Rs program for those newly elected board members. So if you have a new board member coming on, it's December 1st. Have them register. It's in Montville. I know it's a little bit of a ride, but it's a great opportunity for them to get immersed in what their role is as a board member. Because if you remember, when you were a new board member, you may not have knew what you were getting yourself into. So they have that on December 1st. We're also going to have a virtual podcast on the same subject, a virtual 3 Rs with the field service rep and myself. So look for that. And just on a new board member, if you have a new board member, start thinking about how you're going to build that relationship. How are you going to like maybe have an orientation with them through the district? Just have them sit down with the superintendent or the board president and just start building a relationship. Being a successful board member is all about relationships. People ask me, what do I need to know the most? The best skill you have is people skills. You have to get along with the rest of your board. And even people you may not even like, that's life. And now I'm going to put one more thing that you should be thinking about, and that's we're going to have this in-person 8th grade dialogue. We haven't been able to do that in the last couple of years. That's a new program where we take 8th graders, we put them all in the same room, and we start asking them questions about their educational experience. That will be in March. It's a great, I think you have the date on there, the 20th. It's not an unsung hero, it's the 8th grade dialogue. I am always amazed at what comes out of the mouth of the 8th grade students. I mean, they really have great insights as to this educational experience. I'm not sure the people in the building will always like what they say, but that's what makes it so endearing. So think about that program and show up to that program, because I think you'll be really impressed with what the 8th graders say. So that's Kathy's report. So it's all to you. Jonathan Bushman will be next.
Thanks, Ray. Thanks, Kathy. So that brings us to our legislative update, which Jonathan Pushman, who I believe is with us virtually. Hi, Jonathan. I'm going to let you take it from there.
Thanks a lot, Wayne. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. So hi, everyone. Jonathan Bushman, Director of Government Relations at the School Boards Association. Just want to provide some highlights of some of the things we've been focused on over the last couple of months that I think would be of interest to you all. I did have Rabachera upload a handout to the SWUGO conference site. I'm not sure if that was also brought for distribution at the meeting, but it contains some highlights of some recent enactments, some pending legislation, and a bunch of other issues that we're focused on at the advocacy department here at the association. Theme of the day seems to be workshop, workshop, workshop. So I just want to make a couple plugs for a couple of programs that the governmental relations department will be running for folks who might be interested in policy making and advocacy. We are going to be having our legislative panel discussion once again. Always a very popular program, and we have 4 really great legislators lined up to come out. We have both chairs of the education committees from both the Assembly and the Senate, Senator Vin Gopal and Assemblywoman Pam Lampett. And then on the other side of the aisle, we have Senate Republican Budget Officer Declan O'Scanlan and a freshman legislator who serves on the Assembly Education Committee, Brandon Umba, and I know he's really excited to come out. So that's going to be on the Tuesday afternoon, a 90-minute session, kind of ending the day on Tuesday, beginning at 3 o'clock. So hopefully you all can come out and hear about what's going on at the legislature. And then on Wednesday, we're going to be having a panel of members of the State Board of Education to talk about some of the things, the important work that they're doing over at the State Board, some of the regulatory initiatives that they're up to. The handout that I provided, there's a rundown of some of the new laws that Governor Murphy signed over the summer that do impact school districts. Just a couple that I'll highlight. One, I think that is really relevant to tonight's program when the legislature kind of had a renewed focus on school security after the shooting in Uvalde, Texas. What that culminated in was a new piece of legislation that was signed into law that will require all school districts by the beginning of the 2023-24 school year to establish what's referred to as threat assessment teams. Essentially, sort of a group of different staff members who will sort of be charged with being an early intervention system. I think you'd say, if they identify somebody who may be at risk of harming themselves or others, to get them the proper supports to maybe prevent something like Uvalde or something else like that happening. We also saw legislation signed into law that will expand eligibility for free school meals. Speaker Coughlin, who runs the General Assembly, has really made food insecurity one of his policy priorities. And so it will be expanding eligibility for free school meals at the state's expense, sort of increasing the income eligibility for people who would be able to receive free school meals, but doing so at the state's expense. And that will go into effect at the beginning of next school year as well. Some of you may recall that the standardized assessments is something that we're always focused on. As you may recall, last year was the first time that the new exit exam, known as the Graduation Proficiency Assessment, was administered to high school juniors as sort of one of their pathways to graduation. A lot of folks felt, and we were in agreement with that, maybe it would be better to kind of have that administered as a field test for that first run, so that there weren't any high stakes attached to it, to see, what sort of the proficiency level and cut score should be. So they're kind of putting that off until next year's juniors to have that be something that counts towards graduation. Electric school buses is something we've seen some growing interest in throughout the state, and the legislature passed legislation and appropriated money through the state budget that would establish a pilot program for districts who they could apply and set up the infrastructure and purchase electric buses, sort of a pilot program, see how well that's working, and if it's something that could be expanded to other districts. So those are just some of the few new laws that I thought were worth mentioning to our members. There's a lot of other stuff the legislature returned from their traditional summer recess just about a month ago, and have been incredibly busy, and I anticipate that they'll stay busy through the end of the calendar year. One of the primary focuses that they've continued to try and push to the fore are trying to find ways to address the staffing shortages that we know that school districts across the state have been struggling with, trying to address that, come at it from a number of different angles. One of the bills that we've reported out on and helped worked with a number of other advocacy organizations was to push legislation that would eliminate the EdTPA assessment. This is a performance-based assessment that all teaching candidates have to complete in order to obtain their teacher certification. It's been identified as a really expensive, redundant, and unnecessary impediment to getting into the teaching profession. So there's a bill that the governor, he conditionally vetoed it over the summer, but it should be approved by the legislature sometime this fall. Hopefully we'll knock down one of the barriers to becoming a teacher and get people, try to make that pipeline a little bit more robust. Also considering legislation, educator scholarship programs, loan redemption programs, an advertising campaign just to try and promote the teaching profession and sort of elevate it and just sort of change the culture and climate around the teaching profession that I think we all have seen has kind of been under attack for the last few years. And we know we need to get more and more people into the pipeline. Trying to bring retirees back into the classroom is maybe a stopgap measure. And then we know we're facing major school bus driver shortages. So there's legislation that would allow individuals to drive the type S school buses, those smaller van type school buses, without having to obtain a CDL first, which has been really hard to obtain and maintain. So maybe that if we can get some non-CDL drivers to operate those smaller school buses, it'll free up some others to drive some of the larger school buses. Learning loss is a big focus. The legislature is getting ready to approve a bill that will require the Department of Ed to conduct a thorough study on the level of learning loss that students have felt due to COVID-19 and develop a path forward of how we can try and mitigate that or accelerate learning. The Assembly Education Committee actually held a hearing on this very issue today that went for about 3 hours, talked about what some districts are doing to try and accelerate learning and mitigate that learning loss. Mental health, always a big priority of ours and the legislature. Some of you have read recently in school board notes that the governor recently proposed a new student mental health initiative known as NJ4S, try and promote these regional hubs to provide mental health supports and services to students throughout the state, which we think, at first thought was a really good thing. We want to see more investments in mental health initiatives. The issue that we've encountered, though, and that other groups are concerned about is that it would eliminate or transition out of the popular school-based youth services program, which is something that's in about 100 schools throughout the state. It's been around for about 35 years. So we're hoping and advocating for some preservation of that school-based youth services program. We pushed an alert out to the membership a couple of weeks ago, letting them know that they have the opportunity to comment before the Department of Children and Families. We'll post another article in school board notes this week. Comment period was supposed to end last Friday, but has been extended, I believe, through the end of this week. So if that's something that you're interested in weighing in on, there is a avenue through which you can do that through an email that's been dedicated purely for this purpose. School security, another piece of legislation that's quickly working its way through the legislature, would require all districts to develop critical incident mapping data, which are essentially electronic blueprints to make it easier for law enforcement to respond to a school emergency. Apparently they are more effective and useful than your traditional blueprints, which can sometimes fall out of date. And the governor has dedicated some federal funds that were provided to the state from the Federal American Rescue Plan to help offset districts' costs with doing that mapping data. So again, we love that, something that should enhance school security without putting any kind of financial burden on school districts. On the American Rescue Plan, there's still about $1 billion out there that the state has to figure out how they're going to spend it. So everybody kind of wants to get their hands on that, and legislature and governor over the next year will figure out how they're going to dole that out. They held a series of hearings over the summer in which we advocated for more of that money to go to schools for things like mental health initiatives, to offset some of the inflationary pressures that they're facing, help fund special education, and to maybe offset some of those high healthcare costs that we're seeing districts and other local governing bodies encounter as we come out of the pandemic. And on that, we've also been advocating for relief from the increased school employees' health benefits premiums that will go into effect in 2023, maybe get some ARP money or some funding from the legislature to help offset some of those increased costs. So a lot going on in legislature. Those are just a few highlights. I always encourage you to refer to school board notes. We almost always have a legislative update in there about what's going on. And I think that's always the best way for you all to stay up to date. I did see a note came in from Mr. Carlson, who's also attending virtually. He was asking about a legislation that's been pending before the legislature that would allow homeschooled students to participate in after-school activities like extracurricular activities like sports. Bill got out of committee once, but it seems to have languished. That's something that we certainly oppose, want to make that the prerogative of the local board of education and not something that's mandated by the legislature. So that one I got out of committee several months ago, but hasn't progressed any further than that. But we'll continue to report on that and certainly advocate against it should it come before the legislature. This concludes my report. I'll kick it back to you, Wayne. Enjoy the program, everyone. Hope to see you all at workshop.
Thank you, Jonathan. Any questions in the room or virtually for Jonathan? Here's not. So thank you.
No, actually, Wayne, I did want to address one thing because I know it's something that's been really a very issue of interest to folks up in Sussex County, and that's regarding school district regionalization. Legislature did appropriate money for school district feasibility studies for those interested in consolidating. There's been some information that's gone out there in terms of what kind of strings might be attached to that. My understanding from what the Department of Ed's new school district regionalization program is that you get 50% of the money up front. Once you complete the study and have an actual sort of plan developed for consolidating or regionalizing, you'll get the other 50%, but you don't have to actually put the issue before the voters in order to get 100% reimbursed. So I know that's something that's come up in some previous meetings. So I just wanted to touch on that real quickly. And that's it.
Thank you.
One quick question for you.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
On the school security, talking about the incident mapping, do you know if there's any corresponding funding for local police districts to be able to actually then access and use those new digital mappings? Or is that something that they need to, it's great to have a map.
I think that's really the idea behind the initiative. Apparently about roughly half of the schools in the state have already done this, and it's something that's done in coordination with local law enforcement. So it wouldn't be just districts have access to this data. The purpose of it is for law enforcement to have it. And there already is an underlying law right now that requires districts to share blueprints and anytime they get updated with their local law enforcement. This is apparently just some new technology that it's actually is more helpful to law enforcement in knowing where your access points and things like that are in the schools. So law enforcement will absolutely be involved in that.
Jonathan, I have another question, if you don't
Sure,
mind.
Phil.
It relates back to what I had asked you at the last time we met. The underlying question is, if we do a study and it costs X number of dollars, and the study turns out that it didn't make sense for the districts, do we get reimbursed for doing the study?
That's essentially what I understand. You're not the only one who has had that question. There is this new school regionalization efficiency program, I think they're calling it. It's the new grant program that is being administered through the Department of Community Affairs and the Department of Education. And what we were told is that the reimbursement does not require you to submit the question to the voters. You'll get the money for the study up front, or 50% of it. And then once you have a sort of a written plan for regionalization, which is what's supposed to come out of the feasibility study, you'll get the other 50%. But so the study is supposed to be fully 100% reimbursed based on the information that we've obtained. Does that help, Phil?
Sorry, I was on mute. So just to be clear, if the regionalization cannot go forward because the study turned out, it's a bad idea, we spent $50,000-$60,000 during the study. Do we get any of that money back?
My understanding is you're supposed to get 100% of it back. You go through the application process, and they provide half of it up front, half of it once the study's complete.
Great. Right. Thank you.
So, and there is a dedicated email address, through the DCA or DOE to get that clarification. So if you're interested in exploring, if there's any thing we can do to help you navigate that, please reach out.
All right, thank you very much.
My name
Jonathan, I
is
believe we
Lou
have a question
Sylvester.
in the room, so.
Yeah, I'm Lou Sylvester from Kittatinny Regional School District. Regarding the regionalization study, there had been a proposal to carrot districts that are losing state aid, a slowing of the loss of state aid if the district goes along with the regionalization study. I didn't hear you mention any of that in the legislation. Is that still going to be a part of a carrot to attract districts like ours who are lost about $3.5 million in the last few years? And when you do talk to the legislatures, please let them know that us up here in Sussex County would love some of that federal aid to offset the millions that we've lost, to slow the amount of things that we can do for our kids. Thanks.
Absolutely. And we certainly are pushing for more of that federal funding to go to all of our districts. We know several of them, particularly up in Sussex County, have seen reductions in state aid. In terms of the there is actually that carrot in there. I didn't mention it because it was a law that was passed earlier this year, but the one that established the grant program for feasibility studies also does include for districts that enter into a regionalization study that will slow down their state aid losses pursuant to S2. So if they move forward with it, my suggestion would be to reach out to your county offices, and they can work through the Office of School Finance within the DOE so that they're on notice, they're notified that you are engaged in a feasibility study, and then they can adjust your state aid allocation accordingly.
Any other questions in the room or virtually? That's some good follow-ups there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. And just a plug for the legislative panel also, having been to a couple of those, get there early because it tends to be standing room only. Hopefully they have that in a nice sized room again. So thank you again, Jonathan. Next, I believe, Ray, I'm going to turn it back over to you for some important introductions.
Most of you know when the emails went out from county meetings, they always came from Patty Rees. Patty's moved on in the association. She's now a field service rep in a couple other counties. We did a search and we came up with a great candidate. Rob, I'm going to have Rob come on up. Rob comes to us. So if you see Rob's name, this is the person that you ask all the questions. Okay. All right. He comes to us from the PTA, NJPTA. So he was the director at NJPTA. So he put on the Lee meetings, coordinated the Lee meetings, which is the group of NJEA, ASA, ASBA, when all the educational groups meet, the leadership meets. He was one of the coordinators of that. He's been throughout all the state. I will say he's learning how to get about New Jersey. He's seeing places he hasn't seen. I'll have him introduce himself, but I was thinking of Marie Bilk and I, because he was saying, this GPS took him somewhere. The GPS is, when Marie and I started in this position, there was no such thing as GPS. We actually had printed directions that we're glancing over. So you have it easy. Yeah. Yeah, we had actual maps, right? So, don't complain to me about GPS, because you know what? You try reading these things while you're driving 50 miles an hour, but come on, Rob, introduce yourself. Thank you.
Ray, switch the camera.
Oh. No. Just go down. Oh.
Thank you, Ray. So yeah, my name is Robert Chera. This is my eighth county meeting. Farthest drive so far. I thought leaving Monmouth County at 3 o'clock was going to get me here by 5, but when the rain started as I was driving through the different counties, but I'm excited. Like Ray said, I came from New Jersey PTA, worked with our counties there. I've been to county meetings before, never in Sussex. So happy to be here for the first time, but I'm just excited to hopefully, fill more of these seats in the future, get more programming ideas and work with our county leaders. I have the 11 northern counties, so Middlesex County. What's next? Yeah, and everything above that. Somerset, Middlesex, and everything up with that. So if you ever have any ideas for future meetings, programs, Some counties, the members of the county get assigned a meeting, they find a topic, they get, Morris County is doing, they have a school board attorney that's coming in to talk about hot topics in school boards. We're doing, many of our counties have done the school safety, we've done inflation programs. So if you ever have any ideas, you all have my email now, and you'll be getting those emails to follow up on the rest of the dates this year. And I look forward to working with you.
No, yeah, it's gonna go back to, camera will be going to, Tom Gambino. I'll introduce our next speaker. Actually, the next topic he touched on it is putting school budgets together in inflationary times. We did this in a couple of counties. It's a great discussion. Not a lot of perfect answers, but it is, you have to start thinking about that as a board, because we're gonna be dealing with this probably, at least for this year. So, and it's gonna have an impact. I personally think your community will understand that, because they're paying more for everything too. So, maybe I went out and limb that your community will understand what you're doing, but we'll see. I'm going to introduce the next speaker, which is the topic. Tom Gambino will be speaking for Jeff Gale. He's from the Office of Preparedness and Emergency Planning. You know, I've been working with Tom for so many years, and I feel almost bad that I've known him so long, because that means there's been this issue for a really long time. And I call him out every 3 or 4 years because there's a school shooting. And we forget about it, but it comes back. And so he's going to cover a couple of different things, a few different things. One will be the work with the drills. They help every single school district in the state. They'll come out for free and really not play gotcha with you, but really help you go from good to great. He's going to talk about the new threat assessment law. And also, I did ask him to talk about the hoax that went on, because Wallkill recently had one, but it's not just in Wallkill, it's happening in some other counties. So, Tom, I'm going to leave it up to you.
Right, I got my camera fixed.
Oh, look at that, you got the cowboy hat on too.
All right, I'll take it off because Jeff says not allowed to wear it. So on company time, so I figures after 5 I could wear it. I'll take it off. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you so much for having me. And Ray, thank you for inviting me. I want to begin off by saying thank you to all our school board members. I had the pleasure to serve for 3 years on my local school board. 3 years was enough. I commend all of you who are seeking re-election or have been running for multiple terms. Being a school board member is unique. You do a lot of work, but unfortunately, people don't come out and say thank you enough. So I personally want to say thank you to you all for all the work you do in guiding our schools and helping with the policies that our school boards create. So thank you so much. As Ray shared, my name is Thomas Gambino. I am with the New Jersey Department of Education. I am in the Office of School Preparedness and Emergency Planning. I've been in this division right now for approximately over 8 years. What we do in our office is we visit schools throughout the state of New Jersey, and we provide technical assistance to the school administrators on school security drills. As we all know, every school throughout the state of New Jersey is mandated to host one school emergency drill per month, as well as one fire drill. Schools should be doing 2 lockdown drills, 2 evacuation drills, non-fire, 2 bomb threat drills, and 2 lockdown drills during the year. So that's roughly 8 drills in addition to the fire drill. So when we say when are the teachers teaching, I don't know. They're doing a lot of drills, but school drilling is important. We really want to emphasize that we drill to develop muscle memory. We drill to help everyone understand how to respond. And we want people to act without thinking in a real life crisis situation. Ladies and gentlemen, it's just tragic every day. We turn on the news and we're seeing more and more events pop up. There was one, as we know, recently in the Carolinas. It was on a Friday night. Police officers killed. It was at a house. It was a resident shooting. It seems like every 2 weeks there's a different situation. I'm going to take us through a presentation this evening, ladies and gentlemen, and I will be here to answer questions. I will share my contact information. One thing I'd like for everyone to understand is that our office provides guidance to every single school, public, private, and charter throughout the state of New Jersey, free of charge. Okay, we never charge. We get, and the most important message we want to convey when we come out is that we never ever come out with an "I got you" mentality. We come out to say we're here to help you. We're here to assist you go from good to great, as Ray shared a little bit earlier. We have trainings in place to train every staff member in the school district, from the cafeteria staff to custodial staff to teachers, administrators, school nurses. If they actually, we have a really informative presentation we do for school bus drivers. Okay, so if your district is contemplating having a school site assessment done, a walkthrough, a training done, please reach out to us. We never charge, and I like to say that our expertise comes from all the experience. We have visited approximately 1,800 schools for lockdown drills throughout the state of New Jersey. We've trained numerous people. Our office is the one that provides the School Safety Security Specialist Academy. As you know, every district throughout the state of New Jersey is required to have a school safety security specialist. Our office hosts that training. So we like to consider ourselves somewhat versed, and we consider ourselves the experts in New Jersey on school safety and school security. And so if you have any questions, please by all means reach out to us. I really want to just say real quickly, I know the previous speaker spoke about some school security legislation, and I just have to say, I know New Jersey has a lot of things in place regarding legislation, and sometimes these come out and school board members are like, one more piece of legislation, one more rule, one more thing we have to follow. But I have to say kudos for all of the things that we as a state have in place when it comes to school safety and school security and lockdown procedures and school safety procedures. No other state that I know of, and I visited quite a few, they don't have in place what New Jersey has. They don't have a drill law as robust as ours. They don't have school security plans as robust as ours. So I like to say that we have a lot of great things in place to help keep our students and staff safe. And we're out there helping everyone with that. Okay, first thing I want to talk about, Ray asked me to touch upon it, and here it is, ladies and gentlemen. New Jersey, the news reported, I think it was Channel 12, they reported there were 10 swatting incidents took place on Friday. I know of at least 17, so I'm not saying that the news is lying. I don't think they actually captured how many swatting incidents actually occurred in New Jersey. There were about 7 that occurred in Ocean County that I know of. There was 1 that occurred down in Salem County and Cape May County. They occurred throughout the state of New Jersey on Friday. Our office last week, we sent out a communication to all of our school safety security specialists that we had insight that was provided to us through the New Jersey State Police, ROC, the Regional Operations Information Center, as well as from the FBI, that there were swatting incidents going on a nationwide level. The person was making calls to other states. We knew these calls were happening across the nation. We sent it out to all our school safety security specialists, and some principals and some school safety specialists shared it right away with their police, and some actually responded differently than others. I am not going to sit here and say some people responded inappropriately. I'm not going to say some responded what they did, but what I want to share is it was a scary time. Some schools went into a shelter in place and dismissed the threat. Others brought the SWAT team in, and they actually came in and made a response. Again, I'm not here to judge what they did. What I want to just emphasize and clarify, people sometimes ask me what swatting is, and it's okay if you don't know what swatting is. It's somewhat of a new term. If I wasn't in this profession, I wouldn't know what it is. Swatting began about 9 years ago in the gaming industry. And what the goal is that people use a masked phone number. They use an IP address or voice over IP address, and they dial in from, they're here in this country, presumably, and they dial in masking their number from a foreign country. And they will call the police station. And in this situation, what occurred, they said they were in a school building, they were in a certain place, and they were going to start creating casualties. What the caller's intent is to get the police to respond to the incident. And it's starting in the gaming community, where the goal was whoever could get a bigger response from the first responders would get extra points. So for example, we heard examples that the gaming community would set up a grid or chart, and they said, well, every police car that shows up is 10 points, Every police officer shows up as 5. If you get the SWAT vehicle on scene, that's 25 points. If the helicopter's overhead, it's 30 points. And it's sadly to say, it was a game. And we actually have a school district in New Jersey, in the central region, that received a swatting call every Tuesday. And it was, I'm on site when we create casualties, and it just created alarm, and for rightly so. So we had heads up about this. We knew it was coming. And again, some schools dismissed half a day after they received this on Friday. Some just went to a shelter in place, and they had the police come in, they walked to school, and they assessed the threat. But overall, it was taken to be fraudulent. So that's what swatting was. It hit us pretty heavy on Friday, and thankfully it didn't happen today. But we try to train our staff members, and our local police department is trained on it, but we train our staff members on, when we get these types of calls and how they ought to respond. So I want to just take us through a presentation on threat assessment. As the previous presenter shared, New Jersey passed new legislation about threat assessment. We talked about identifying the threat and stopping the threat before it becomes a threat. In our past school shooting tragedies that occurred in our nation, the signs were there. The assassin showed signs, showed symptoms, had obscure passage writings, posted things online, but unfortunately, the threats were dismissed because it was kind of like, oh, that's Tom Gambino, he's acting foolish again. Yeah, it's no big deal. Well, let me tell the police, and yeah, I don't think it's anything serious, and we'll just simply dismiss it. So although we will always want to protect our school, we want to keep our schools safe, we want to keep our staff safe, let's take it to the next level. We want to stop the threat before it gets to our school door. We want to stop the threat before it becomes a threat. Every time we present, and I shared this last week, and I'm sorry to say, after I shared this slide last week, it actually came true. As we know, last week, we had the swatting instance on Friday, but then we had that recent school shooting. The recent shooting in that development, which the story, the housing development, I think it was in the Carolinas, was in North Carolina, if I'm not mistaken, Raleigh, North Carolina. Not certain what provoked that. Not certain what came out of that, but we're going to find out what happened with that. But we always want to be concerned that it can all start and end with prevention. Someone seeing something and someone saying something. Because at this moment right now, ladies and gentlemen, I hate saying this, the next mass shooter is playing in their attack right now. When we look at past shooting incidents, the assassin never wakes up in the morning and says, today's the day I'm going to become that active shooter. There are signs there, there are symbols there, there are steps there. When we think about the horrific incident that took place at the Oklahoma City Federal Building, and I don't want to mention his name, but the initials go by TM, okay? He planned that bombing on that federal building for almost 2 years, okay? He planned it, he researched it, he knew what he was going to do, what type of explosives he was going to use, and the signs were there. So it's not like someone just wakes up in the morning and says, today the day they're going to be a shooter. I want to talk about this somewhat scary event. Took place on September 16, 2021, not very long ago. There were 4 high school students, a 15-year-old girl and a 15-year-old boy. They're charged with conspiracy. Them 2 and 2 others, they have been charged with conspiracy as juveniles because they were planning a Columbine-like attack on their own high school on April 20th, 2024, which would be the 25th anniversary of the tragedy that took place in Columbine. They wanted to create a Columbine-like attack. These students were obsessed with Columbine. Now, why would 15-year-old students even want to research Columbine, want to look into that tragic event? These 4 students were actually gathering ammunition. They were gathering bomb-making materials. They had a list of guns they wanted to acquire. They had tactical gear, and they actually found the Molotov cocktail bombs that were actually under the girl's home, under her porch. The mother of one of the girls, okay, actually saw a message on the cell phone. Actually saw a message going back and forth that they were planning to shoot up the school. Okay, The teen mother told the investigation, and one thing led to another, and they found these devices under the porch. Why are these children obsessed with Columbine? I don't know. But when we present to our teachers, we always tell them, if you have students that are doing research on Columbine, doing research on Sandy Hook, doing research on Uvalde, interested in these past incidents such as Parkland, Florida, that's the red flag. Okay, something's going on here that, it's not right. So let's investigate it. Let's find out why. Okay, so let's take it to the next level. The United States Secret Service puts out some really great resources. If you do U.S. Secret Service in Google and put school shootings or mass shooting attacks, you'll find each year they produce a booklet such as this with graphs and statistics and data. And in the 2019 version publication they put out, they studied 41 incidents of targeted school violence that occurred in K-12 schools throughout the state of New Jersey. I'm sorry, throughout the nation, God forbid the state of New Jersey, there's so many, but throughout the nation from 2008 to 2017. And there was a total of 41 incidents of targeted school violence between the period of 2008 to 2017. And here's what some of the statistics tells us from that report. 100% of the time, the attacker exhibited some concerning behavior prior to their attack. 94%, the concerning behavior was exhibited at school. 77% of the time, the attacker displayed concerning behavior at home. And 74% of the time, it was online, where they're posting messages, they're in chat rooms, they're posting videos. Something was obscure in their behavior. Okay, 89% of the time, it was through verbal communication. One person told someone else. 57% of the time, it was an electronic text message. For example, we just saw that in that Pennsylvania situation. 49% of the time, the concerning behavior or notification about a planned attack is posted in an online chat group. And 34%, this is why I always tell our teachers, 34% of the time, some type of odd behavior or odd connotations or thoughts are expressed through a school assignment, either in an essay or a drawing of a picture or actually writing on a binder. Okay, so really, signs are always there, but unfortunately we see them afterwards. So why am I sharing this with you? Because I want you to understand how important threat assessment is. The Assembly bill was signed in August 1st, 2022. That said, effective for the 2023-2024 school year, every school district is required to host a threat assessment team. And it is the Board of Education and the school districts who are going to actually ensure that these teams are established and they're in place in each school. The threat assessment teams are going to be made up of these core team members. Not necessarily every team has to have these exact members, but it will be composed of these members. Again, it's a school-based team. There can be members that are district-based. So for example, the school mental health specialist, for example, maybe the school psychologist is a district-based person and would serve on multiple teams. An administrator from that school, someone who's familiar with technology, social media, community mental health contact, there has to be a representative from them on the team. Even though they're not on the team, it's going to be a liaison. It would be hopefully the school safety security specialist who went through our training. And also we like to encourage that behavior management is on there. For example, behavior analyst is on that team as well. So those are the core members of the school threat assessment team. And here are the roles of what that team is going to do once they're in together. They're going to identify concerning behaviors. So for example, a teacher goes to the committee and says, hey, Tom Gambino used to play baseball every day, used to really enjoy hanging out with all his friends, used to be the all-star of the baseball team. Now Tom Gambino is hanging out by himself in the cafeteria. Doesn't sit with anybody in class. I'm noticing he doesn't have too many friends. He gave his baseball glove away last week, and he really loved that baseball glove. Something's not right. Okay, something's not right with Tom Gambino. So the team would get together and they would be presented with the information about Tom Gambino's behavior. They will not, and I want to emphasize this, they will not be given the name of Tom Gambino. They're going to say, here's the student, Here's the concern. Here's what he's exhibiting. The reason why we don't want the team to know we're talking about Tom Gambino is we don't want to profile. We don't want to identify. We don't want to have any predetermined judgments about Tom Gambino, where that team says, you know, I had Tom last year. He was nothing but a problem then. Yeah, I know. You know what? Whatever this team says, we're going to agree with. So we want to try and have them be non-judgmental when they evaluate the behaviors. And again, they're looking at the behaviors. They're not looking at the person. They're going to look at the information and they're going to say, okay, is this enough for level 1, level 2, or level 3 investigation? Does this warrant a level 3? And a level 3 might be where in the ratings, Tom Gambino talks about hurting himself, might talk about hurting others, might talk about using a weapon. Then the administration from that team has to bring it to the police. And the reason why we're going to the police is now the police are going to get involved. And the police are going to, first of all, say, well, the police are going to do a search on Tom Gambino's home. And they're going to go online and say, does anybody in Tom Gambino's family own a gun? Are they legally owning a gun? Do they have paperwork to get a gun? Okay, let's go visit Tom Gambino's house. And they're going to come in and talk to Tom Gambino's parents. Hey, what's going on? What changed in the family? What changed? What dynamics might have changed? You know, was there a passing of someone? Did something change in his life? What can you tell us? They're going to gather the information. Then we go to step 3. And we're going to assess the person's situation and say, all right, Tom Gambino, he's not going to harm himself. He's not going to harm others. What could we help him with? How can we help him? Let's get him support from the school district. Let's get him support from the county. Let's maybe perhaps reach out to the state. Okay, what level of support could we get him? And we want to make sure that that support is appropriate for Tom Gambino and addresses the situation. The behavior threat assessment team is not just looking at the individual harming others. We're also looking at the individual harming him or herself. Okay. Level 4, that's when we want to assess and manage the situation. You know, Tom Gambino's having these challenges now, and what he's working with a group. He's working with a counselor. He's working with the school psychologist. How's that going? Let's go back every 3 months, every 3 weeks, every 3 days. Let's see how we're doing with him. And do we have to do anything to help Tom or get him some other assistance? To see something, say something, ladies and gentlemen, it's so important to us right now. And again, it's not just the people in school. I always say when I present, school security is everyone's responsibility. And it's not just the responsibility of the school administrators. It's every single person in that school has the same responsibility to keep our schools safe. If they see that door open, board members, you know, if you drive past the school and you see a door cracked open, if the students are outside at recess and they're outside on the football field and you see that door open as you drive by the school, give a phone call. You know, I tell parents this all the time. You know, if you pass the school and you see a door open, if you're driving around, you drop your child off at school and you see a door open, give the principal a call. Okay, I've done it many times. I've done it. My wife works at a school and I did it, and her principal wasn't happy because it got back to me. You know, I'm the Tom Gambino called. I didn't call up as a DOE employee. I called up as, you know, as a concerned person because my wife was in that school and I took pride in that she teaches in the school. But I want to make sure her and her colleagues and the students are safe. So, you know, if you see the door open, give the phone call. You see something, definitely say something. So it all stops with stopping the threat because we see the signs, we can identify the signs. The school-based threat assessment team they are being trained right now in a model called Sigma. It's the Sigma model. It is closely aligned to the United States Secret Service model. The school-based threat assessment team members, the school safety security specialists, right now are attending a 6-hour online training that's being provided by people who are very versed in the Sigma model. They're phenomenal presenters. It is a full-day training. We started offering it last year. We actually have 2 sessions trainings offered per month, and they will go throughout the whole summer. What the goal is that we get the one member from the school trained, the school safety specialist. They turnkey the elements, they share the elements with the other staff members, but we really encourage as many staff members as we can in the school get trained and take that training. We have a level 1 class, and then we have a level 2 class on threat assessments. So that's how our school staff members are getting trained in the Sigma model, the threat assessment model. I'd like to end this with a video. I hope it plays, if you don't mind. I hope it doesn't buffer, but so let's give it a shot. And you might have seen this video before. It's from the new Sandy Hook Promise, an organization that we partnership with at the state of New Jersey. There's a grant called See Something, Say Something grant. I'm sorry, it's called Just Start with Hello. My apologies. It's called Just Start with Hello. And it's a program that helps students reduce the risks of suicide. And, the whole premise is that if one person says hello to someone else, having that person to talk to might be all that one person might need to not think about harming oneself. So,
Tom, before you share it,
yes, sir.
I wish you would have told me this. When you share, there's a thing there for videos. So you have to upgrade it, not just share it like a regular PowerPoint.
All right.
Okay.
So maybe we shouldn't do it, right? What do you think? Should I skip it?
Go ahead, try it.
All right, hold on. Let me know if it works. Give me a thumbs up, Ray, if it works.
No sound.
Okay, Ray, what do I have to do again? Just tell me real quickly.
Hold on.
I'm sorry. If not, I can give everybody the link to it. You can check it out online.
Yeah, hold on 1 second. I have to remember what you have.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you have to go back to
hit share
where you
screen.
share screen. Maybe close out and start over again. And then when you go to share screen,
On the bottom left-hand corner, there's a little box you have to click that says video clip.
Share sound.
yep.
And optimize for video clip.
Yeah, now you have to share. Yeah, you have to share and then
That's awesome. Okay, you ready?
see how awesome it is.
I'm here at the scene of tomorrow's shooting, where a 15-year-old will kill 4 children,
can hear it.
2 adults, and then turn the gun on himself.
When the shooting starts happening tomorrow, first I'll probably just think it's firecrackers or a car backfiring or something. He told some of us that his dad kept a gun in his closet, and he always talked about using it on, the people that bullied him. Tomorrow I'll probably say that I wish I told someone.
After the shooting, we're going to feel pretty bad about picking on him, but until then, we'll probably just keep doing it because he's pretty weird.
Tomorrow, I'll probably point out that something has seemed off with him since the beginning of the school year.
And I'm now joined by the officers who will be the first responders tomorrow. What additional details can you share with us?
Well, someone is expected to tell us after the shooting that the shooter has been posting on social media about doing this for weeks.
So how will you explain the shooting to your daughter?
Actually, I won't get to explain it to her because she won't make it.
I'm here at the scene of tomorrow's shooting, where a 15...
Okay, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you were able to see that. Kind of powerful video. That was put together by Sandy Hook Promise and the importance of see something, say something. So, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for the opportunity to present to you. If anyone has any comments, any questions, please don't hesitate to give us a call. My direct phone number on my cell phone is 609-422-7153. 609-422-7153. And again, we're at the New Jersey Department of Education, Office of School Preparedness and Emergency Planning. Ray, I'm here if you have any questions.
Anyone have any questions?
All right. Thank you.
All right. Virtually, is there any questions in the chat room? I can't see. All right, Tom, I think you covered everything.
Wow. Okay. What'd you have for dinner tonight? What was for dinner? Was anything good? I miss it.
You are doing presentations at workshop though, right? I'm not you.
Thank you, Ray.
Jeff
Thank you. Ray, thank you. We are going to we have a Monday presentation. Jeff Gale is doing one on Monday on threat assessment. We are also doing one I'm doing one on using schools as a shelter. Something that school board members should be aware about in the event you get that knock on the door, or you get that phone call at 2 a.m. and surprise, you have an emergency crisis going on and we need to house 100 families. So your auditorium or your gym might be used. So I want to help everyone understand what to do ahead of time for that. So we're doing the threat assessment on Monday and Tuesday. I'm presenting on using schools as a shelter on Tuesday. And then we are partnering with the Houselet School District from Monmouth County on Wednesday to do a session about planning. So, but we'll be there. We'll be walking around. So honored to be there. Truly honored. Thank you, Ray.
Okay. We'll close the meeting.
Thank you, Thomas. I believe that concludes our agenda for the evening. I'm going to ask if there are any final follow-up questions or comments, either in the room or virtually. Don't think we have anything. Just a couple reminders. I think it's on the agenda. Our upcoming meetings, November 29th at the Newton Country Club. That's in person, and hybrid meeting, right?
It's a hybrid and it's on inflation.
And that'll,
then putting school budgets together.
okay. And then our February 13th of next year and March 20th of next year, they're both virtual. No,
No, March is the 8th grade dialogue. That's
my correction. But the February one is virtual.
Shows on some you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, day 3.
And the last one there is May 18th. That's a long way away. Great. Well, with that, I'd like to close the meeting for the evening. Thank you all for coming. And we'll see you at workshop or at the next county meeting.
Thanks, Ray.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Take care.